Hello everyone, my name is Matej Ambrush and today I will be presenting you my Microsoft 365 project. This project will be made up of two parts. In the first part, we will be focusing on users, PowerShell, and security. And in the second part, we'll be focusing on Outlook, Exchange, Teams, SharePoint, troubleshooting, and document recovery. This is the first part of the project. The second part will be linked at the end of the video. You can also find the link in the description down below. All of the code that I have used, all of the scripts, and all of the documentation will be linked below. The link will take you to my GitHub repository of this project. Without any further ado, let's get into the project. The first step of our project is to connect to Microsoft Office. So we simply go to office.com, then we click sign in. Then we enter our user information. Okay, I will introduce the code. Now we go to Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You can close this. Excellent. Now that we are here, let's create our first user. We go to users, then active users. And here we will create a user with the help of this user interface. We click on add a user and we fill out the information. We can automatically create a password, or we can give a password to our user. An important fact that we need to mention is that when we create a password for the user, the password cannot contain the username of our user. So if I write the password like this, the system will tell us that the password cannot contain user's username. So we will just say James 123 exclamation mark. Okay, James okay, let's just see. Okay, koala 123 and special character seems to be good enough. Then we go to product license. This is where we assign a license to our user. We create a user without a license, but this is not recommended. So we just give the license that we have here. Now, the service that I'm using is Microsoft 365 E3. This is the only free option that I have found. Okay, now we can pick and choose down here the apps that our newly created user will have access to. I don't want to change anything here, at least for now. We can also decide if this user has any admin privileges. So we can make him Exchange administrator if we would like to, but we don't want to do that. And here in profile information, we can add additional information about our new user. We go next, then we finish adding our user. Now down here we can also create a template. A template is basically a framework that holds all of the settings of this user, and then we can use that framework to create new users that are exactly the same as this user that we have created. So let's just create a template. Let's call this template of regular user. The description will be the same, and save as template. And now we have created a template and a user. We close down this, we will refresh our browser. After refreshing our browser, we can see that we have our new user, Lucian James. Then if we go to user templates, down here we can see that we have this template called template of regular user. Okay, now let's create a guest user. We can see here that we have active users, contacts, then guest users. Now we have this button here which says add a guest user. However, it is not the best, from my experience, the best way to add a guest user is not is not from admin center. It is from Entra ID, which was previously called Azure Active Directory. So we scroll down here on the left side, then we click on this button which says identity. I will pause the video. After I log in, I will start again. Good, we have entered Microsoft Entra. Now we go here, users. We click on all users to see all the users, and we click here, new user, create new user. And here we enter the information of the user. Let's call him Roger Black, or yes, Roger Black. Roger Black for his display name. Then we move to properties, and here under user type, or next to user type, instead of member we select guest. This way we will create a guest user, not a regular user. Roger Black. Additional information, we don't need to worry about that. In the assignments tab, we can add this user or this guest to a group or give him admin roles. We don't want to do that, then we can review and create. We have created Roger Black as a guest. We will refresh the browser. We will refresh again. And after multiple refreshes, we can see that we have created the guest Roger Black, and under user type, we can see that he is a guest. Now let's talk about contacts. A business may have multiple contacts. Microsoft 365 gives us the ability to create mail contact. So let's just create a mail contact. Create a mail contact, we go back to Microsoft 365 Admin Center, then we go to Exchange. If it prompts me to log in, I will pause the video and come back. Let's see if it prompts me to log in. No, okay, I didn't need to log in. We are inside Exchange Admin Center. Here we go to recipients, then we go down to contacts. Okay, here we press this button, add a mail contact, and we just simply add a mail contact. Well, let's call him Marcus Damien MD. Now here we add the external email address of this contact, and let's just say he is a guy that has expertise in computer networking. So Marcus Damien at computernetworks.com. Go to next. Here we can add additional information, but it is optional. We have mobile phone, work, organization, and so on. We click on next. Then we can review and create his contact. Okay, let's refresh now, and we can see him, Marcus Damien. Now, we have created a user a guest and a contact using the graphical user interface of Microsoft 365. Now let's do the same thing, but instead of using the graphical user interface, we will use PowerShell. Before that, let's just mark all of the steps that we did. We created accounts with graphical user interface, we created a template, we created a contact, and now we need to use PowerShell. The first thing that I want to mention is that we won't be using regular PowerShell. We won't be using this PowerShell, Windows PowerShell. We won't be using this. The PowerShell that we'll be using is an application that you need to download. You go to Microsoft Store, you search for PowerShell, then you end up here at this application, and you download this application. After you have downloaded this application, just open it up, and here we are. The first step that we need to do to use PowerShell to create users or contacts is to connect to Microsoft Graph. To connect to Microsoft Graph, we need to run this command: connect mg graph scopes user.readwrite.all directory.readwrite.all. We press enter, and after we press enter, my browser will open up and the system will ask me to log in. I have logged in, and it says here authentication completed. You can return to the application. Feel free to close this browser tab. And our PowerShell says that we have connected via dedicated access using information. To verify again if we are connected, we will run this command: get mg user. Mg stands for Microsoft Graph. After we run this command, we should see a list of our users and contacts, I believe. No, just our users and guests. And we can see all of the users and guests that we have created. To see our contacts, we write get get mg contact. Get mg contact, and this command, after we run it, we can see our guests that we have created. Okay, let's clear this, and let's create a user using a script, using PowerShell. I have written a few scripts for this project. All of them will be linked below to my GitHub repository. Microsoft 365 scripts. Let's go inside of this directory before running any script. So change directory, and we can see here that I have changed directory to this place, Microsoft 365 script. Let's look at the script that I want to use to create this user named Alice Johnson. We will view it with Visual Studio Code. Okay, the first thing that I did is that I saved the license that I want to give this user in this variable SKU. After I saved the license, I have created this object where I specify the parameters that I want this new user to have. After that, I have created this user. It is important to mention that this command right here only creates the user. It doesn't give the user a license. Then I saved the user in this variable. After that, I have created this object that specifies the user that I want to give the license and the license that I want to give to that particular user. Then I use this command to clearly specify that I want to give this user, this newly created user, this specific license. Now, before I run this, I just want to show you that this is actually the SKU part number of the license that I have. So to do that, I will just copy this command, copy. Then here we press Shift Insert. And to make it easier, I will use this pipe operator. Select object, SKU part number, SKU ID, SKU, and then constant units. And here we can see that the part number is actually SP_E3, And we can also see the consumed units. The consumed units represent the users or that have a license. The total amount of licenses that I have at my disposal is 25. I have only created 2 users that have a license. So I have consumed only 2 units of this license. Okay, now that I have explained everything, let's just run the script. User Alice Johnson. This is the line that we need to write in order to run the script. We press enter. And now we can see that our user has been created without a license here. This is the first line that specifies that our user has been created without a license because this column mail is empty. Then in the second line, it tells us that we have given a license to our user. This mail column tells us that our user has access to Exchange. Good. Now that we have created our user, let's create our guest using PowerShell. Again, open with code, and you will see a similar pattern. We create an object with all the parameters of our guest, then we create our guest. As simple as that. Again, dot backslash guest alexjones.ps1. Enter. And here we everything has worked properly. The guest has been created. Let's see the 2 users, the 2 guests, the guest and the user we have created. Get mg user, and here we can see Alice Johnson, and then one excuse me, one row above we can see Alex Jones. Now let's talk about contact. A contact, like I said, is part of Microsoft Exchange. Before we can create a contact, we need to connect to Exchange Online. To do that, we run the following command. Connect Exchange Online, user principal name, and then this is the domain of the administrator, which is me. So I run this command and I connect to Exchange, Microsoft Exchange. However, and forgive me, I forgot to mention this, before running this command, you need to install a certain module. The module that you need to install is this, Exchange Online Management. After you run, I have already installed Exchange Online Management on my computer, so I don't need to run this line again. However, if you haven't installed this, install it, then connect to Microsoft Exchange. Okay, so let's connect to Microsoft Exchange now. Connect mg. No. This is not the correct Exchange Online. Okay, we enter this, and I will be prompted to log in. Let me just copy the password from my password manager. I enter my password. I have entered the code. And now I'm connected to Exchange Online, and soon I will be able to write commands. Good. Now let's look into the code. Open code. It's the same thing as creating a guest. We write an object with all the parameters, then we write the command where we actually create the contact. Our contact will be named mSurgeX, and he will be part of network issues, just like the contact we have created with the graphical user interface. Okay, so let's just run it. Dot backslash contact Emerson Jax. We press enter, and our contact has been created. Let's see this contact with get contact, no, Microsoft Graph contacts. I have missed something. Contact, not contacts. And here we can see Emerson Jax, which has been created with PowerShell, and Marcus Damon, which I have created with graphical user interface. Now, this is all well and good, but we have only created one user. What if we want to create multiple users? What if HR hires a bunch of people, and all of these people need to be a part of the business in a short time span? To do that, we can ask HR to create the CSV file, all of the data, all of the information about these new employees is there. Now, we can create scripts where we can use those CSV files, import the data from those CSV files, and then automatically create all of the users, guests, or contacts from those CSV files. These are the scripts. Now, before I run the scripts, let me show you the data. I will show it to you in a fast manner. I will open all of them. Okay. The first I talked about is users, so let's start with users. These are two users that I want to introduce into the business, and these are the headers, which are basically the parameters that I want to introduce: display name, given name, surname, user principal name, mail, nickname, password, and license. And I will import this document and introduce this data. Same with guests, same idea. And same with contacts. It's the same idea. Now let's look into the code. Go back to scripts. And let's look at users. And here we can see the same thing that we have done before. Only difference is that we use some loops in order to iterate over each and every single employee that we want to introduce. So here we save the license. Then here we specifically say the information of the users that we want to import, and we save it in this variable. Then down here we create a for each loop where we iterate over each and every single row of the data from the CSV file, and we create this object with all of the parameters of one user. After that, we create that one user, then it moves to the next line. After we have done this, after we have created the two users, we want to give a license to those two users. So here we have another loop where we give the license to the users. Let's run this script and see how it works. To do that, first of all, we need to change the directory to here. Change directory, shift insert. Okay, we are here. Now we press dot / user creation from csv.ps1. We press enter, and here you can see that I have created two users with no license, and then the users receive their license. Good. Now let's look at guests. Open with code, and you will see it's the same thing. We import the data. After that, we create the object with all of the parameters. We create and then we create the guests. Here I did something different to try catch, and if the system isn't able to create these users, it will write an error message. Okay, let's run this script. And we are done. We have created our two guests. Since both guests and users end up in the list of getmg.user, let's just run it and see them. These are the two guests that I have created, guest 1 and guest 2. Then we can see here all the users that have been created: John Doe and Jane Smith. Good. Now let's create our contacts. And just as before, we open with code and we see it's the same thing. We import the data, then we run a loop where we create each contact. Let's do that. /contact creation from CSV. And as you can see, I have created two contacts, James external and Contoso support. Good. Let's see this contact, get ng contact. And here you can see the two contacts that I have created. Good. Let's mark all of the steps that we have done. We have connected to Microsoft Graph. We have created accounts with PowerShell. We have installed Exchange Line Management and connected to Exchange Online. We have created contacts PowerShell. And now we need to talk about security groups and groups in general. There are two types of groups, or three. It is a Microsoft 365 group, a distribution, and a security group. A security group is a group which is made for resource delegation. So I can have users inside that group, and because they are part of that group, I can give them access to specific resources. Once they are out of that group, they no longer have access to those resources. So resource access is not based on a user receiving that access from the admin. It's actually based on that user being a part of a security group. So let's create a security group, and then we will give that security group a license. Okay. Create a security group. We go users, and then we can go one way to do it is we go here at active teams and groups, and we go to security group, and then we can click add a security group. But this is not the way I like to do it. What I like to do is to go into Entra ID, then go to groups, then click on all groups, then click on new group. And here we can specify the type of group that we want to create, which is a Microsoft 365 group or a security group. We will create a security group. Let's call it let's just call it security group E3, and we'll use the name as description. And that's it. We just create the group. Successfully created the group. Let's refresh the page to actually see the security group. Okay, after refreshing the page, we can see that our group has been created. And again, under group type, we can see it is a security group, not a Microsoft 365 group. Now, like I said, we can do resource delegation with security groups. So let's do that. Let's look at what users we have that don't have a license. Okay, so our guests don't have a license. Roger Black does not have a license, and Alex Jones does not have a license. We can see that Roger Black is actually a user with, or maybe not. Forgive me. Okay, for Alex Jones and Roger Black, we will give a license with the help of a security group. So let's go back to Enter ID. Let's click on security group, then move down to members. Then we will add members. And we will add this member Alex Jones, like I said, and Roger Black. But yes, let's do that. Okay. Let's refresh. We have added these two members. Now we need to clearly specify that this security group has a license. We can see here that we have this button called licenses. However, if we go here, we can see that adding, removing, and processing licensing assignments is only available in Admin Center. So we will go into Admin Center. We will refresh the page. Then after that, we will go to Teams and Groups, Active Teams and Groups. Then we go to Security Groups. Then we click on Security Group E3. Then we click on Licenses and Apps. And we click here on this license. And we will save changes. And save. Licenses are being assigned to this group. If it's a large group, it can take a few hours. Okay, we will wait a bit. We will refresh. We will go to users, active users. Okay. And I will pause the video and come back once the licenses have been assigned to the member of the security group. And we are back. And we can clearly see that now Alex Jones has a Microsoft 365 license, Microsoft 365 E3 license, and Roger Black also has a Microsoft 365 E3 license. This license has been given to them because they are part of the security group that I have created. A non-conventional way in which we can see that this license has been given because they are part of a security group is by simply going to their profile, then clicking on licenses and apps. And if we go down to apps, we can see that we cannot change anything. This is something that I have found out on my own. Once the user is part of a security group, you cannot change the apps or licenses that he or she has access to from here. You must go to the security group and change the settings of licenses inside of the security group. Another thing that I haven't done, and that is something that it should be done, is to give an owner to the group that you create. So here it tells me that this group has no owner. So let's change that. View and manage all owners, and I will put myself as the owner. And that's it. I have put myself as the owner, and now I am the owner of this group, and the members of this group are Alex Jones and Roger Black. Okay, let's look back on what we have done. We have created a security group and given a license to those users that are part of the security group. And now about assigning managers. We have assigned an owner to the group. How do we assign a manager to a certain individual or to more individuals? Very simple. We just go to active users. We click on the user that we are interested in assigning a manager. We go down, and here we can see manager, and we can click add manager to add a manager to this user. And again, I will just pick myself because it is easier for me. And now I am the manager of this. I'm not only the administrator, but I'm also the manager of Jane Smith. Good, so we can cross that out. Now let's talk about multi-factor authentication and security defaults. What's the important thing that I need to mention here? Multi-factor authentication is enabled by default if security defaults are enabled. If we disable security defaults, we can selectively pick and choose the users that have multi-factor authentication and the users that don't have multi-factor authentication. Let's see how that looks like and how that works. Very simple. We go into Entra ID, then we go into Overview, then we go into Properties, then after we go into Properties, we scroll down, and here we can see Manage Security Defaults. We can either leave it enabled, which is the default behavior, or we can disable it. I won't disable it because it is not a good practice. However, if we disable it, like I said, we can pick and choose which users have multi-factor authentication or not. To do that step of picking and choosing which user have multi-factor authentication, the first step that we need to do is, like I said, disable security defaults. After that, we go here in multi-factor authentication. Then we go here under configure, we go to additional cloud-based multi-factor authentication settings. And here we can select which user has multi-factor authentication enabled or not. Even though this here says disabled, just because I have security defaults enabled, you can be sure that multi-factor authentication is enabled for your user. Okay, let's log in as one of these users and see that multi-factor authentication is actually enabled. To do that, I have these two browsers. I have a browser of Brave and then an Edge browser. I will pause the video a bit so I can have the login information right in front of my eyes. And then when I come back, I will show you the login process. Okay, we are back. On both browsers, I have entered office.com and we are here. You click on sign in, and unfortunately this Edge browser will take me to my admin account, which is something that I don't want, so I will sign in with a different account, use another account, and here I will sign in as Alice. And here it prompts me to use a different password and to create a different password. And the password, let's just write a new password, welcome to exclamation mark. This is the new password, and the old password is this one. Sign in. Now, okay, 212. Off. Okay. And now it asks me, let's keep your account secure. And this is the part where it will ask me for Microsoft Authenticator. And here it tells me that I need to use Microsoft Authenticator. And so I have demonstrated that even though when we go here, we see that for multi-factor authentication, Alice Johnson status of multi-factor authentication is disabled, just because we have security defaults on, which I will show you, security, just because the security defaults on, all of the users, even though when we look at multi-factor authentication, we can see disabled, all of the users have actually multi-factor authentication, just because security defaults are on. So we click on next, next, And now we need to scan this QR code. It will connect to my authenticator, and then I need to insert the code. I will do it now. I have scanned the code. Now I press next. It asks me for the code. I introduce the code. I authorize. And now I'm logged in. And as you can see, I am logged in as Alice Johnson. We can do the same thing for the other user, Jane Smith. And for this user, I will just I will just show you that multi-factor authentication is enabled. Again, we need to introduce a new password. Okay. I have invented a password here. And as you can see, it also asks me for multi-factor authentication. So I will just stop, log in, and come back. Okay, we are back. And as you can see, on the left side, I'm logged in as Alice Johnson. And on the right side, I'm logged in as Jane Smith. So we can go back here and we can say that we have talked about multi-factor authentication and security defaults, and we have also logged into these two accounts to actually see that multi-factor authentication is enabled for all users as long as security defaults is enabled. Now let's look at the sign-in logs of these users. To do that, we go here, we go to admin, then we go to enter ID, we go to users, and we go here, and here we have sign-in logs. We click on sign-in logs, and here we can see all of the sign-ins that have happened up to this point. We can see the sign-in of Alice Johnson, and we can also see the status if it was successful or not. We can choose date, time, and so on. I think we can also see the sign-in logs for a particular user. So for example, we can choose Alice Johnson, and for Alice Johnson, we can click on sign-in logs, last 24 hours, and we can clearly see that we have this sign-in log. I don't know why it says interrupted, even though I have entered the app. But okay, maybe we need to start, refresh this, and see how it goes. No, it says the same thing, interrupted. I don't know why that is. Let's go back to users, then sign-in logs again. Very, very interesting. But this is the place where we see the sign-in logs of our users. I don't know why we have this case where the sign-in logs are not presented. Let me add a filter. not request ID, just user. Let's try it one more time. It seems that the app has frozen. I don't know why. Let's refresh the page. Let's refresh the app a bit. Refresh all of the page, and after refreshing we go back to enter ID. Prompts us to log in again. Why, I don't know, but okay. We will log in again. Go back to users. Then we go to sign in logs. And now we can see our our sign-in logs has been updated. We can see that for Alice Johnson it has been successful, while for Jane Smith we can see that it's been interrupted. However, it may take some time for this message to change from interrupted to success, because we can clearly see that we've been successful in logging in as Jane Smith. So we can confidently say that we have finished our last step. This is the first part. There will be a second part. I will link it below, and I will also link it in the window of the video if I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll be waiting for you in the second part of the video, where I will talk about Outlook, Exchange, Teams, SharePoint, a little bit of troubleshooting and document recovery. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.